Super Bowl are the pride of the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys. Can their youth and enthusiasm stop Jim Kelly and the Buffalo Bills from their third consecutive attempt to go all the way? This is Super Bowl XXVII, coming to you live from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, nestled in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains and on the outskirts of Los Angeles, California. Hello everyone and welcome to the climax of the NFL's 73rd season. Joining me today in the Rose Bowl, I'm delighted to welcome Mark Rypien, who guided the Washington Redskins to victory last year. He also picked up the Most Valuable Player award in the process, not bad. Also joining me, the always eloquent spokesman for the defense of the Los Angeles Raiders, Bob Golic, a 15-year veteran who's been to the Pro Bowl 4 times. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Mick. Good to be here.
Thank you, Mick.
First off, Mark, I've got to ask you, last year you were down on the field getting ready to play in the Super Bowl. This year up here, a little different, isn't it?
Well, there's no doubt, Mick. I'd like to be out there right now with the guys, but this whole week leading up to the Super Bowl has been exciting for me, but nothing will take away from the excitement we had last year as a team and being out there and being a part of this great festive occasion.
Unfortunately, Bob, Mark's sitting here with two big old Super Bowl rings. And
yeah, isn't it a little braggy? I mean, that's just... I was about to slap him one.
You've not been to a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, I didn't either in my career. If it ended now, would that be something that was missing in your career?
Yeah, I mean, everybody obviously wants to get that goal. That's the ultimate for the team. But you know what? There's so much more to it besides just the team play. I think as an individual, you strive to be the best player you can be. If you can go out there and say that you did everything you possibly could to be the best player to help your team, then you can pretty much live with it. Plus, I've been doing interviews all week, which is like more fun than anything. So, big deal.
Well, Mark and Bob will be with me throughout the game, analysing the play of both the Cowboys and the Bills. But first, to help explain why Mark and Bob are here joining me in the booth and not out on the field, and also to put you in the mood for the game, here's our own account of the road to the Super Bowl. Last September, 28 teams set out on the road to Pasadena. Among them were 9 new coaches, including Dennis Green at Minnesota, Bill Cowher at Pittsburgh, Mike Holmgren at Green Bay. Their ambition was to challenge the established order, challenge coaches like Joe Gibbs. His reigning Super Bowl champion Redskins suffered the first shock of the new season against the resurgent Dallas Cowboys. And Washington's defeat signaled the start of a long year for them. Florida was shaken by a natural shock as Hurricane Andrew caused immense destruction. Miami had to postpone their opening game, but Dan Marino and his Dolphins
you are now tuned to the best.
Well, their best was unbeaten in September. Philadelphia took their inspiration from the sad death of teammate Jerome Brown.
Let's make sure that throughout this season, that this whole stadium rocks loud enough for Jerome Brown can hear us.
And the Eagles flew high, proud, and unbeaten. But lacking any inspiration were the once fierce Los Angeles Raiders, the short-circuited San Diego Chargers, and the woeful New England Patriots, who couldn't muster a win between them. September ended with Philadelphia's Keith Jackson confirmed as a free agent, and this Eagle landed in Miami. Jackson's impact was immediate. scoring a touchdown as Miami silenced Buffalo in Rich Stadium to remain unbeaten in October. Jimmy Johnson took his undefeated Dallas Cowboys to Philadelphia, where they received a hostile reception and their first loss. The Chicago Bears lost a 20-point lead in Minnesota's noisy Metrodome. And as the game slipped from their grasp, Mike Ditka's temper flared, the first of many such outbursts.
If the situation arises again, there will be changes made, and they'll be definite and they'll be permanent.
And there was plenty of change this month for Atlanta's Deion Sanders. He clocked up the air miles playing baseball for the Braves and football for the Falcons, all in the same day. But unfortunately for Atlanta, Deion's unique accomplishment didn't help them against the Dolphins, as Miami rolled on to a perfect 6 wins. San Diego traded their September losses for October wins in an unexpected reversal of fortune. But New England remained consistent as loss followed loss. Coach Dick McPherson must have wished for a player like Washington's Art Monk, who was busy breaking the record for the all-time number of receptions. And Washington finally had something to celebrate. On the West Coast, San Francisco was celebrating. By the end of the month, they had caught up with Miami on 6-1. And down in Texas, Dallas used the elusive running style of Emmitt Smith to consolidate their newfound winning ways.
I think the key to our football team, offensively speaking, is the fact that we are well balanced. And teams that come up and try to stop Emmitt, we're still able to throw the football, and it's been nice. It's been fun playing with the ball club.
As the autumn leaves fell, so did the 49ers in a surprise defeat. The Phoenix Cardinals duly collected their second big scalp of the season. And had New England finally found a saviour in the form of Scott Golic? Their unpatriotic fans had to wait until week 11 before they had their first taste of the good life.
We're good people, we really are, and good things happen to good people, and we thank God for giving us the ability to do what we did today.
One of the great people was Lawrence Taylor. Sadly, he suffered a ruptured Achilles tendon and was suddenly talked about in past tense.
My main goal right now is try to get better, is try to get my leg to a point where I can be competitive.
No, you'll never replace him, but we can still survive without him.
Survival was top of the agenda in Philadelphia, as Jim McMahon and Randall Cunningham were thrust into the hyped-up heat of controversy.
First I get benched, then I'm coming back in the fourth quarter, and I don't come back, then I'm starting. Now I'm on the bench, it's like, my mind is just spinning.
I know I'd be upset, and I know he'd be upset if they continued to play me.
The can of worms has been opened. The quarterback controversy is starting now.
But such arguments meant little in far-flung Green Bay, as the Packers started a marvelous month-long winning streak against the bickering Eagles. And astonishingly, there was also talk of the playoffs in San Diego, as they charged to 4 more wins. But a cold front of defeat settled on Chicago, as the Bears lost every game in November. They ended up being pounded in Cleveland's dog pound, to the dismay of Mike Ditka.
We'll get it back somehow. It'll take a while probably, but we'll get it back.
Miami's Dan Marino had a tough time as the Buffalo Bills came south to avenge their defeat to the Dolphins and take the lead in the AFC East.
We remember what happened last time. We remember some comments, and we just had to go out and play Buffalo Bills football.
But leading the race into the playoffs was Steve Young and the 49ers, who scrambled past a faltering Philadelphia. But November ended in sadness as New York Jet Dennis Byrd was paralyzed. Players from both teams prayed for a swift recovery, and recently Dennis left hospital and is thankfully doing well. Christmas came early for Jimmy Johnson and the Cowboys. They cut through Atlanta like a hot knife through butter to claim a slice of the playoffs. Run, Emmitt, run. Electricity was in the air for San Diego fans as their team became the first to lose all 4 opening games and still make the playoffs. New head coach Bobby Ross was delighted.
Well, it's a great feeling, you know, to be able to come back. I think you really got to give our players an awful lot of credit.
Philadelphia rallied their faith and returned with dramatic results. They beat Washington to jump over the Redskins straight into the postseason.
You are now choose.
To the best.
We're frustrated. We still had a shot at the end, and a couple of throws the end zone to win it.
Washington's frustrations continued into the dying seconds of the regular season as the Los Angeles Raiders came from behind 3 times to beat them. And as fate would have it, Washington's playoff future was decided in Minnesota, where Green Bay sought their 7th successive win to deny both the Vikings and the Redskins the playoffs. But the Pack couldn't rise to the occasion. Coach Dennis Green took the early bar, leaving Green Bay's Brett Favre to reflect.
We fought hard to get ourselves in this position of being in playoffs, and then we lose.
As for the Bears, well, they could only raise a single win in their last 9 games, beating Pittsburgh to maintain Mike Ditka's slender tenure. But in Chicago, the winds of change were beginning to blow. But the Steelers forged into their first playoff spot for 10 years by casting aside Cleveland in familiar Barry Foster style. Houston proved a danger zone for quarterbacks as both Warren Moon and Jim Kelly were injured, leaving backup Cody Carlson to beat Buffalo and deny them the AFC East title and home field advantage. Also on the last day of the regular season, Kansas City dumped Denver. And Denver dumped head coach Dan Reeves.
It's been a great 12 years. I'm sorry as heck it's over.
Come on in here.
Mike Ditka was also on form.
Get the hell out of here, you big mouth son.
But unbelievably, the biggest bear was gone.
Regrets? Just a few. But too few to remember. I can't sing it quite as good as he did.
New York gave coach Ray Handley a thumbs down and fed him to the Lions. And Dick McPherson returned from hospital just in time to clear his desk in New England. Voluntary retirement was taken by legendary defensive bear Mike Singletary, who bowed out with grace. But the grand old man of football, Joe Montana, chose the final week to make his comeback. There was even talk of a 5th Super Bowl ring. Logged in the record books were the most receptions in a season by Green Bay's Sterling Sharp. A 2nd consecutive rushing title for Cowboy Emmitt Smith. And the most touchdown receptions by who else than San Francisco's Jerry Rice. The rain in San Diego falls mainly on the pitch as the Chargers sank Kansas City in a dour contest. Indoors, Washington wasted no time in repaying the Vikings for their help in reaching the playoffs. The Redskins' strength suddenly looked ominous.
You had a great year, Dennis.
I appreciate you.
Your first year is the best I've ever seen. I mean, I went 0-5.
Hey, you guys look very good. Good luck next week.
New Orleans kept their perfect playoff record intact as they remain a winless 0-4. And Philadelphia said hasta la vista to the Saints.
It's our dome now. We were super in the Superdome. We were super, believe it.
Buffalo's Frank Reich was a worried man as the Bills fell behind 35-3 to Houston. What else could he do but conduct the greatest comeback in NFL history? Leaving memories for Warren Moon and a trip to Pittsburgh for the Bills.
Defense played great in the second half, and we came through with the big win.
That's unbelievable.
Pittsburgh's Bill Cowher was voted NFL Coach of the Year. And he might have traded that honor for a win as his Steelers look rusty against the buoyant Bills.
See you next week.
The years and the yards were slipping away as Dan Marino aimed for his second Super Bowl. His aim was true as Miami simply blew San Diego away. Keith Jackson ending the Chargers' fairy tale run. Philadelphia came face to face with foes Dallas for the third time this season. But the confident Cowboys outthought, outplayed, and simply outscored their NFC East rivals.
You are one game away from the Super Bowl.
And that game would be in San Francisco. If Steve Young and backup Joe Montana could combine to overcome Washington and the weather. Winning is now expected in San Francisco, but the relief was evident as they dumped the Redskins. A long-term acquaintance was renewed in Miami as the Buffalo defense terrorized Dan Marino for the AFC Championship title. In the end, it was the familiar double act of Kelly and Thomas. This unraveled Miami's sweet dreams of success.
We're just getting ready to win the Super Bowl.
The NFC Championship was held in Candlestick Park, where the exuberant young Cowboys paid scant respect to the 49ers. As they plowed through the mud and San Francisco's defense. Despair descended on the once formidable 49ers as the torch was passed to the Dallas Cowboys.
You understand? We do have one game left to play.
So who will win Super Bowl XXVII? The youth of Dallas or the experience of Buffalo?
Well, I hope that stood. Take the